at a saint. You mad? Your sugar-coated doll is not so pure. My bad, I don't give a. You stepping on me and they call my mama. Touch you better than that. You're mad, I guess you're mad. Wore my best pajama for this drama. Why you talking like that, like that, like that? I'm not gonna spend the night, I'm talking. You got bad things on your mind, keep walking. Spit your words on someone else. Don't act like you're so obsessed with me, with me. You know that I ain't coming back, I'm sorry. Read my lips, you do not like that. You're drowning without me. Take it all back, but if you want my sympathy, honey, well, come as a bitch, get ready for this. I trust my best, confess. You hate me wearing the pants. If you weren't so damn obsessed with making me a perfect lie. Makeup is out, naturals in, letting my skin glow out. Yet to get shit if you don't like this. You still live in your man's world. I'm not gonna spend the night, I'm talking. You got bad things on your mind, keep walking. Spit your words on someone else. Don't act like you're so obsessed with me, with me. You know that I ain't coming back, I'm sorry. Read my lips, you do not like that. You're drowning without me. Take it all back, but if you want my sympathy, honey, well, come as a bitch, get ready for this. You know that I ain't coming back, I'm sorry. Read my lips, you do not like that. You're drowning without me. Take it all back, but if you want my sympathy, honey, well, come as a bitch, get ready for this.
Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Good morning, everybody. How are ya? I miss y'all. I'm still a little bit croaky, and if I break out into a cough, I'm sorry. I try to hit the mute really fast, but then you know what happens? I forget to unmute. Hope everybody had a good weekend. I haven't talked to you since the weekend, and we're going to be coming up on a new one. Good morning, PR. Good morning, Sassy. Morning, Amy. Morning, Bella. Good morning, Summer. It is going to be a good day, Summer. Ugh. It was hard to get up this morning. Hold on. Something's wrong. There we go. Good morning, Moonface. How is everyone? I couldn't do it this morning, guys. I just couldn't get on the foodie train. Did I miss anything with foodie? Guys, it's getting so hard to cover. Like, I can barely make it through with you guys with me. When are they coming? Anybody have any guesses when they're leaving? Okay, so did you guys all see the thing? I think it was on Twitter. I don't know. I think one of my mods might have just shared it in chat, but did you see that Bangkok Airlines is doing like a test thing where from now until October 31st, they're measuring everybody that is on the flight and their luggage. Same summer, huh? You think, Sassy? I don't know. See, that's what I was asking. Is there a certain amount of time they have to be out of the country before she can renew her visa? Cobb's passed out. I miss stuff about Chantal because she's boring. And I think most reaction channels aren't really covering everything she does. Right, Bella. There's nothing to cover. Oh, yes. I thank you, Sassy, for saying that. My condolences to FFG and to her family. Keep them in your thoughts and prayers, everybody. Her mom passed. And that I've lost my dad, so I know what, losing a parent, and my heart goes out to her and her family. The cops showed up at Cobb's. I would imagine he's getting pretty far into his alcoholism. I bet it, has something to do with. I lost my mom when I was about FFG's age. It's hard. Ugh. Yeah. You know what? I probably was a little older because my dad's been gone for 7 years. But we're blessed that we have had them as long as we have, right? So the cops showed up before he passed out or after he passed out, Moon? Like somebody called the cops when he passed out. Did he pass out online? He caught that part. I watched him earlier in the day. He was drinking at 2 in the afternoon, his time. Yeah, I'll tell you. I mean, I don't know. How old is he? Not that it really matters when you get into that addiction. No, he was passed out online. Oh my gosh, Moon. See, and that's the stuff I've always. I'm so sorry for your loss, Sassy. That's the stuff you always, kind of think is going to happen with foodie. Early 30s. Oh my gosh, that's so young to be like at that stage in the addiction. Good morning, Anna Lynn. Have you guys been following the Danny Masterson case? Danny Masterson is Hyde from that 70s show. I'm feeling better, PR. Thank you. I still have like the cough and the headache comes and goes, but for the most part, the balloon that was my head feels a little deflated, thankfully. I was watching him at 4:15 my time, 2:15 his time, and he was already slurring. I'm glad he got convicted. Disgusting scumbag. Exactly, Bella. Good morning, Lisa. Today is the 6-month anniversary. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. His wife is filing for divorce, right? Like 12 days after his sentencing, she filed for divorce. Good morning, Maritza. Good morning, Glam. I have one. Oh, hold on. Let me pull up this other browser. I have one story brought up that's not, on the thumbnail. Um but you guys, what is happening to our world? Is it just getting covered more or what? But the R word is everywhere. Cobes on a Lynn. I guess Cobes passed out online yesterday. The wife probably heard more than she bargained for. Yes, that's what I think too, Sassy. I got roofied on a first date. A friend who worked at the restaurant noticed I was acting oddly and helped me. Wow. That's so scary, Bella. Yeah, I would never make it in the dating world today or in my 20s in the party world. Thankfully, neither of my boys were like bar goers. True, Annalyn, but like I was saying, I mean, alcoholism, well, look at SJam, he's got liver damage at his age and that's young, but when they get in deep into that addiction, Cobes was day drinking and passed out unalive. Someone called the cops for a welfare check. Had he come to by the time the cops got there, Moon? Morning, Ghostface. Just lost my dad in August and I had pancreatic cancer like FFG's mom. I talk to PC patients daily. It's heartbreaking because the survival rate is 12%. Why we walk. Summer, I remember when you were sick. You are a warrior, lady. It was homemade alcohol. Oh, I saw where he was making that. And people were worried it might be botulism. Wow. They knocked twice. He was out cold. Oh my gosh. Thank God he's okay. Yeah, PR. I had seen it had to have been on Hannibal, watching Hannibal because I don't watch Cobes other than through Hannibal. So, um, no, she passed, Annalyn. What was it? Friday, you guys? I don't remember the exact date, but yeah, she just passed. It is glam. He isn't the most hygienic, so yeah, I had seen where he had like a big jug and he had like a balloon on top. Wow, that even for Cobes, like a seasoned drinker, that took him out, eh? You're welcome, Summer. Yeah, FFG took a few days off. And shame on everybody that, was speculating, her reasoning for taking days off or whatever. You guys, we never know what's going on in somebody's life. They found out in April. Oh man, that's only 5 months. Right, Annalyn. That's exact. I sit here like what, like what? And where's my damn it doll? Damn it, damn it, damn it, C word. That's how my dad passed. That damn C word. Nobody is safe. I think some people, especially people that were like, like I've said before, I don't really watch FFG. Once in a blue moon, I'll catch her. Um, but I know people that watch her regularly knew something was up. But good for her for keeping it close to her chest. Like that's something that you need to go through with your family and your family only. That's why FFG was saying she had a lot going on and why she was sleeping on a couch. She was at a vigil. Uh, I can see why she didn't want to talk about it. When my mom got diagnosed, it was exhausting dealing with people wanting to know stuff. It's exhausting to deal with people offering sympathy even. See, the way my dad did it, like he told us, but my dad always made it seem not as bad as what it was. Um, so when it came time to him actually, getting ready to pass, it felt like it happened so quick because we weren't, he tried, like I said, he tried to make it out to us like he wasn't as sick as he was. So it kind of caught us all off guard when it got really bad. I have a few relatives who died of brain cancer, and knowing that it gives me sleepless nights sometimes. Yeah. She also mentioned Shannon knew the whole time and was a great sounding board. Good on Shannon for her loyalty. Yeah. I'm glad she had somebody. I'm waiting for Chantel to say something nasty in a video about, yeah, right. Oh, she won't. I was going to say she won't come back from that, but there's so much that she's done. And I don't feel like she comes back from it. I think she just gains new followers that are clueless as to what kind of person she is. When my adopted dad was dying, I couldn't even formulate the words. He was gone in so fast, Moon. Yeah, she'll say something disgusting. And then, claim how she's this, innocent Muslim. Boy, how the tides have turned from the days where she would get kicked under the table for saying the word but. You don't always want to talk about it. You have things you do to relax, and even well-intentioned people don't understand. You want a break from it all, but there you are, forced to talk about it. Yeah, Bella. It's true. And like the last 3 weeks, my dad lived like an hour away, a little over an hour. And the last 3 weeks, that was my life, going from home to my dad's. I'd stay the entire day, or else I'd spend the night. But I wouldn't take anything back because I was there, up till the end. And then my dad waited too. Like I said, I was there all the time at his side. And one day I said to my stepmom, do you think, because there had been no change for a while, and I said, do you think it's okay for me to stay home and get caught up on, chores and laundry and stuff? She's like, yeah, I'll get a hold of you. So later that night, well, in the evening, she called to tell me that he was worse and that I better come. And like I said, it was a little over an hour away. So in the time it took me to get there, he had passed. And I really think he meant for it to happen that way. I don't think he wanted me there because I was the baby of the family. And I think my dad kind of didn't think I could take it. This is a sad topic over coffee. And you don't always want to talk about it. You have to, oh, yeah, I read that. I remember the day before his wake, and I stood in front of the closet bawling. I had nothing to wear. I worried myself down to the 130 pounds. If you talk about foodie, you are now yes. It wasn't too long ago that her dog died, and now the mom. Yeah. Good morning, Fresh Flowers. It's been a year. So a year. Good morning, Jarella. I am. Thank you, honey. Um, it's been a year that basically Chantel's been, spewing that she offed her dogs. She's so sick. Just because you're willing to discard of anything living like it has no um value doesn't mean everybody else is gross like that. Okay, I'm going to bring up there's just this one small case that as I was looking stuff up this morning I found, and then we'll cover um the Daniel Masterson thing. Okay. Missing kayaker arrested after allegedly faking his death to avoid child rape charges. A man who allegedly attempted to fake his own death to evade child R charges was arrested on Sunday after trying to flee a Georgia state trooper. After being reported missing in Louisiana since early August, Melvin Phillip, MD, 41, was arrested when a Georgia State Patrol officer attempted to stop a man riding a motorcycle without a license plate. The man fled and ultimately crashed, then attempted to flee on foot before he was arrested. The driver gave a false name, and once fingerprinted, it was learned that he was Melvin MD. MD is being held at the Dougherty County Jail in Albany in South Georgia. Online jail records showed as of Monday. The Georgia State Patrol didn't provide additional information regarding MD's arrest on Tuesday, as they said they were working on the incident report. CNN is working to confirm whether MD has retained a lawyer. He had been reported missing on August 7th by his son after allegedly going overboard and drowning during a kayak trip in the Mississippi River near Mattis Road in Hahnville, Louisiana. The parish sheriff's office initially searched for the man with officers, a cadaver dog, and a drone, according to a post from officials on Facebook. The following day, detectives learned MD had pending charges of indecent liberties with a child and statutory R of a child in Brunswick County, North Carolina. CNN has contacted Brunswick County Court to get more information on the charges, but has not yet heard back. We immediately became quite suspicious that this may have been a faked accidental drowning and death for him to escape charges. However, we could not publicly expose our suspicions for fear of tipping him off. After consulting with authorities, detectives learned MD was wearing an ankle monitor as a condition. Why does it take that long for them to figure that stuff out? On the day of the reported drowning, detectives learned that MD purchased 2 prepaid phones from a Walmart in Butte. According to the release, authorities from North Carolina and the United States Marshal Service worked with detectives to track the phones. There are no plans to extradite from Georgia to Louisiana. He will be sent directly to North Carolina. Now it's time for him to face the music for his charges in North Carolina. There's no charges filed against him for allegedly trying to fake his own death. It's an active investigation. Right, Annalyn? He's not going to, I mean, he probably won't make it in prison. So there's that. Good morning, Bama. Good morning, Tanya. Is Susan Smith the woman who? Yes. Yes, Tanya. And you know what? Excuse me a minute. Okay. I didn't remember the whole, like, I knew who Susan Smith was. I remembered what she did, but I forgot that originally she claimed it was a carjacking. So I have a video pulled up of her. Guys, she's eligible for parole next year. which is so weird to me because I remember that happening and everything, and she got 30 years, and her 30 years is up next year. That's crazy. Her new narrative was rehoming the cats, not the unaliving comments. Uh, put him in general population. I agree. Good morning, Lilith. If they don't get him for one, they could get him on the fake death charge. Yep. Susan Smith better not stay in South Carolina if she gets released. She is one of the most hated people in this state. I argued with my in-laws about that, saying a woman would not let anyone take off with her kids. Yeah, because her story was that she jumped out or whatever. Like she got free. Exactly. Like if my kid was there, if I'm not getting out with my kid, I'm staying with my kid. Yes, I do too, Summer. Can you believe that was 30 years ago? Because we're at the end of 2023 and she's eligible in 2024. Do we think she's going to get it? And look how much different she looks. You guys saw the thumbnail. Like, she looks so different. I mean, 30 years. 30 years. You don't, PR? I am stuffed up fresh flowers. And in the morning is the worst because it's like you got to start, like Sudafed has really, really helped me. I'm swearing by Sudafed, but it's like you have to wake up, you have to get the Sudafed in you and start, you know what I mean? Have that start working and everything. So mornings are probably like the hardest. Fresh ginger, fresh lemon, a quarter teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and teaspoon of real honey in hot water. Only thing I don't have is ginger. She made it a point to say it was yes, that caused a huge uproar. Yes. Yeah, that would explain it, PR. But even still, I will say, like, people still talk about that case all the time because I feel like that was like, not that it didn't happen before Susan Smith, but I feel like that was the first big media stir about, a mom doing something to her children. Yeah, Glam. She deserves to rot in jail. I totally agree. Seems like it was one of the first times a mom, her kids, or just got so much media attention because it was, yes, Glam. That's what I'm saying. It was kind of like that's what, and I don't, like I said, I'm sure it's happened before then, but that was like the first big, huge media case of it that kind of started, a ripple effect. Not that like people were doing copycat things or whatever, but I just mean now it's so all over the media. And she did it because she had a thing for a guy that didn't want kids. Who was Diane Downs, Lilith? Do people not remember that adoption can happen, right? I don't know. I don't get it. And there's also that law where you can, drop your child off at any hospital or fire department. No questions asked, and you can just walk away. Like, why resort to that? Good morning, Goblin. Not yet. Not yet, Goblin. Hey, I did a successful mute once. You missed that, but I'm sure the mutes will come up. And I don't have the clicker because I'm on Melon. It's just newborns, is it, Sassy? Well, see, then I think they need to do something like that for, any age child. I'm sure that would save a lot of lives. And the one little boy, it's like horrible looking at the picture because the one little boy looks so much like my oldest son when he was little. You still can surrender children. It probably takes more paperwork than the babies at the fire department, but you still can do that, I'm certain. Yes, the guy from that 70s show is Daniel Masterson. Him right here. We can look up a better picture. Let's see. Sure, there we go. That one that's on the thumbnail is like the perfect one. He's the one that played Hyde on that 70s show. Mine's 32. I guess I'll keep him now, Glam. The hard part's over, right, Sassy? This stream is hard too because when I laugh, I cough, so I have to not laugh. My husband works at a group home. They once got a kid whose parents dumped him at an ER. They didn't pick him up. It was turned over to CPS, who eventually, oh my gosh. I can't even fathom. Then you think of all the childless families that spend tons of thousands of dollars for just one child. Yep. Anyone seen Eugenia Cooney? Her mom seems to be another piece of work saying she's fine. I can't watch her, Glam. It's too sad to watch. And the way they act like nothing's wrong. It's too sad. The guy who played a sleazeball on that 70s show turned out to be a sleazeball. Yeah, PR, I just can't. I remember Susan Smith putting on an act for TV. Their dad was around. She could have signed for her rights over to her dad. Yeah, see, I just started watching a little bit of this one that we're going to watch. And I was saying, I forgot how she, claimed a whole carjacking and all that stuff. He had the blanket of Scientology protecting him for so. Yes. Well, and isn't Ashton Kutcher big into the Scientology, or am I mistaken? Kutcher and his wife were extremely on people's radar too, because they had written basically what do you call it, character statements for Danny Masterson for the sentencing to not be so severe, and they got a lot of crap in the media for that. I think so too, that they should terminate her channel. It'd be different if it was coming from here's my struggles, I'm working toward, choosing life and showing the struggles of eating disorders like that. I think, it'd be different. But the fact that she's on here as thin as she is and she is claiming nothing's wrong with her, that sends such a bad message, I think, to little girls. His wife is divorcing him now, I know. She had an entire area searching and in a panic for those babies. See, that's I don't remember. I don't know why, but I don't remember that part of it. Like, them looking for them and everything. I always, well, not always, but I guess over the years I forgot that part of it and just thought that, I seriously thought the last so many years, I thought that somebody saw the car go, the car going in and her standing there watching it. She's not long for this world. Her mother failed. I know. I don't get it, Moon. She's in denial. Right. It sounds like her mother, like her family is too. And how can you be in denial? There are flowers. I totally agree. Eugenia is used as thinspo and bonespo for young anorexic women. It's absolute fact. See, and that's so dangerous. I mean, girls, it's already an issue with young girls, the whole body conscious and right. I totally get that, Tanya. There's so many um people out there that long for a child and can't have them. A lot of ED is about trying to retain control. Eugenia has a very controlling mom. This may be her way of having some power in the relationship. It's very tragic. Have you guys watched Mr. I was watching it. I watched the first one, Ghost, and then last night I watched the second one and half of the third one because I saw that the fourth one had come out. He did such an amazing job with that. Morning Starfire. Or an electrolyte imbalance takes them out. I can't watch any shows that deal with child abuse or neglect. Same. My anxiety just is like through the roof. I can't do it either. I can't imagine ever doing anything like that. Me neither. See, and that's somebody said to me yesterday. It was one of the mods said they can't watch it. It's too sad. And I said, see, honestly, as a reactor, I feel obligated to watch it. And I think all of the reactors should really watch it because, when they come on, any of them, ALR, Foodie, Jen, when any of them come on, we immediately judge. And I feel like the fact that he let her tell her own story, um, it really hits you like how hard she struggled. I don't know. I just felt like it was like I watched it out of respect for Jen. It was so well done, Ghost. Most of the time it goes under the radar because parents often blame the children for being bad or whatnot. If you look respectable enough, you'll get away with it. It was Goblin. It just is so well done. Yeah, Summer, that's what I was saying. Yesterday I was trying to catch up because I saw that he released the fourth part. Um and it's really extensive. Like he starts, at I don't know, I can't remember how long before she passes, but like it goes like 3 years, 6 months, 3 years, 4 months, 3 years, 1 month. Like he really he really had to have taken so much time getting all of that together. Sure, Star. Hold on. Good morning, Irma. Let me pull it up a sec. Okay, here is Mr. Snowflake. And there's 4 parts on his channel. I believe there's more coming, though. Snowflake was factual and tried to make Jean look sympathetic, but to be honest, Jean was trash, and my opinion stands. I watched it play out in real time. See, I didn't. I didn't really watch her until the end, actually. It was thorough and thoughtfully done. Yeah. And I have not heard anybody have anything negative to say about this series. Like, I have only heard good things from everyone. I will say it's so sad. Well, you expect it to be sad, right? We know what the ending is, but it's so sad, and then the music that goes with it is so sad that it really is hard to get through. Um, but if you can't, it really was just so well done. They're very asshole. Yeah, I agree, Glam. Okay. I'm going to read this Danny Masterson article. So, U.S. actor Danny Masterson has been sentenced to serve 30 years to life in prison for R-ing 2 women. Masterson starred on That 70s Show, a TV series that was airing at the time of his crime. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Was that? Hold on, let me pull up because I never know if this is. Me. There we go. There we go. $11 months there. I had to pull it up to see what it said because on this side it only tells me I only see the alert. So thank you for being a member for 11 months, Irma, and thank you for all your support always. Hello, Jilly. Good afternoon. Yeah, each one is like an hour long. So yesterday I had already watched the first one. So yesterday I got through 2 and then I got halfway through 3. Okay. Prosecutors argued Masterson, 47, had relied on his status as a prominent Scientologist to avoid accountability. Judge Charlene Almedo allowed the victims of his crimes to read impact statements in court ahead of his sentencing. Prominent former Scientologist and actress Leah Remini attended Thursday's hearing and comforted the women before and after they delivered their statements. I wished I had reported him earlier to the police, one of the women said. Another woman told Masterson, I forgive you. Your sickness is no longer mine to bear. Masterson remained silent throughout the hearing. As the judge read his sentence, the maximum penalty allowed, his wife, Bijou Phillips, was seen in court breaking down in tears. Masterson was found guilty in May at a retrial after the first jury was unable to reach a verdict in 2022. Following his conviction, Masterson was deemed a flight risk and was taken into prison custody. I thought they can't try you for the same thing twice because they're not saying an appeal, they're saying a retrial. Yeah, right, Jarella? We've heard such good things about Scientology. So I'm confused there. I'm sure somebody in chat has more knowledge on that than I do. The actor was convicted after 3 women testified that he had sexually assaulted them at his Hollywood home from 2001 to 2003 during the height of his television fame. Okay, if it's a hung jury, they have that, and that's what it was. Okay, thank you, Summer. The jury heard testimony that he had given them drugs before he assaulted them. Of course, coward. He was found guilty of R against 2 of his 3 accusers. The charges brought by the third were declared a mistrial, and prosecutors said they do not plan to retry that case. Allison Anderson, a lawyer representing 2 of the victims, said in a statement sent to BBC News that the women have displayed tremendous strength and bravery by coming forward to law enforcement and participating directly in 2 grueling criminal trials. Despite persistent harassment, obstruction, and intimidation, these courageous women helped hold a ruthless sexual predator accountable today. Throughout the trial, prosecutors argued that the Church of Scientology had helped cover up the assaults, an allegation the organization has categorically denied. Well, yes, of course they're going to deny it. At the time of the attacks, Masterson and all 3 of his accusers were Scientologists. Several of the women said it took them years to come forward because Church of Scientology officials discouraged them from reporting the R to police. Scientology officials told one survivor she would lose her membership of the community unless she signed a non-disclosure agreement and accepted a payment of $400,000. During the trial, Judge Almeida allowed both sides to discuss the dogma and practices of Scientology, angering the organization. In its statement after the verdict in May, the Church of Scientology said there was not a scintilla of evidence supporting the scandalous allegations that the church harassed the accusers. Look at, there's Leah Remini. In court on Thursday, one woman described being shunned by her mother, who is still a practicing Scientologist. She texted me and told me to never contact her again. She had warned me ahead of time she wanted to see Danny Masterson locked away for what he'd done to me, but not at the expense of her religion. Another woman said she had been victimized by the Church of Scientology ever since she spoke out. Since the week I came forward to police, I have been terrorized, harassed, and had my privacy invaded daily by the cult of Scientology for almost 7 years now, but I don't regret it. Masterson was first accused of R in 2017 during the height of the Me Too movement. He denied the allegations and said each of the encounters was consensual. Charges came after a 3-year investigation by the Los Angeles Police Department. Prosecutors did not file charges in 2 other cases because of insufficient evidence and the statute of limitations expiring. Thursday's sentencing was also attended by Jessica Barth, who founded Voices in Action in the wake of the Me Too movement. Ms. Barth was one of the women to publicly accuse disgraced Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein of abuse. Her nonprofit works to encourage others to come forward and report abuse. Before the hearing, a motion for a new trial by Masterson's defense team was denied by the judge, according to a Los Angeles court official. Wow. Well, justice was sure done this time. 30 years to life. So we'll meet back here in 30 years and be talking about his parole hearing the way we're going to with Susan Smith. So that would put him, he's in his 30s. So 30 years from now he'll be a senior citizen. A bunch of SPs for ex-Scientologists went live on Sunday simultaneously as a result of this, among other things, raising money for the Aftermath group. I think that only applies if you were found innocent and then they find new evidence. They can't try you again. Hope the federal authorities look into... Well, Scientology is known for that too, Mood Face. But apparently, they are big enough and have enough money to not go down for it. He always has to be too, Lilith. Oh, he's almost 50? Oh, he's 47. Wow. So he won't be getting out until he's in his 70s. Good. Streets are a little bit safer without him. Yeah, I guess I guess it makes sense that he's that old because most of the 70s show actors I think are like middle-aged now. Oh, hush, Jilly. You hush. Okay. So here is what I have pulled up for us about the whole Susan Smith thing. This is an hour long. Here in the channel for this is in the description. The description on this video is Susan Lee Vaughn Smith, born September 26, 1971, is an American convict who was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after serving 30 years for murdering her two children, 3-year-old Michael and 14-month-old Alexander. The case gained international attention because of Smith's false claim that an African-American man had kidnapped her sons during a carjacking. Her defense attorneys, David Bruck and Judy Clark, called expert witnesses to testify that she suffered from mental health issues that impaired her judgment when she committed the crimes. According to the South Carolina Department of Corrections, Smith will be eligible for parole on November 4th, 2024, after serving a minimum of 30 years. She is incarcerated at the Leith Correctional Institution near Greenwood, South Carolina. So in a year, she will be eligible for parole. All right, here we go.
Can't even get to figure out which way he's going.
What kind of car is it? We need to know something.
We're trying to ask her now. A Mazda Protege. What color was it? A burgundy Mazda Protege.
Get them going, Pam. I got 2 kids.
Okay.
They were all stoners, though, Glam. They were all sitting in that basement high.
That's a black guy, she said.
Okay.
Black male.
Yes, ma'am.
You know which way?
Do you know which way he went?
Daddy, ask her if she know which way he went. Towards.
Did he have a gun? Ask him, did he have
Okay. Wait till he comes back.
He's trying to get her out of her now.
Did he have any weapons, gun, anything?
Did he have a... That looks going towards Chester. Did he have a gun or a weapon or anything? Say he had a gun? Yeah. He's got a gun.
Got a gun.
Yes, ma'am. Hello?
Okay. We're
Okay.
getting them on the way.
Okay.
Give me your name.
Anything? Rick McLeod's my name.
The older little boy looks so much like my oldest when he was that age.
Do you need us to tell you anything from our yard or anything?
Okay, can you get a tag number out of her?
Daddy, who can you get a tag?
It's hard to keep, have hope. I've after this all the time, it's just been so long, and I think if they were okay, then they would have been found by now, but the hardest part is just not knowing. And my heart just aches, and I miss them so much. I just can't express it, and it's just a tragedy. And I just pray and pray and pray that they'll come home safe.
It's so weird to me too, seeing the like the video coverage and stuff from back then, the difference between now and then, technology wise. Silly. Ours is Sunday. Married or 29.
Don't you think that that's the one place we wouldn't see us?
Yes, ma'am. There's a lady that come up that door, and some guy jumped into a red light with her car with her 2 kids in it, and he took off, and she got out of the car here at our house.
The call came from a house along Lockhart Highway in rural Union County near the entrance to John D. Long Lake.
And he's got the kids?
Yes, ma'am, in her car. She was real hysterical, and I just decided I need to come along and get them down here.
The woman was Susan Smith, who'd gone to the nearest house after she said she'd fled the man who took her car and children in the direction of Chester, South Carolina.
The car is it? We need to know something.
We're trying to ask her now.
Oh, geez, sorry, guys.
Reading photos, tying yellow ribbons around mailboxes and telephone.
When I got there, she was hysterical. I had to literally pick her up off the floor and take her into the other room and sit down with her on the couch.
Later that night, David called his father.
I said, she ain't holding the bumper. I would have, they wouldn't have drove off of my kids. I was something when that car would have still been in my hand and he drove off, But there was never any doubt, in his mind that the kids were kidnapped.
I believed Susan. As I've stated before, 100%, completely. Never beyond that I didn't believe her beyond a shadow of a doubt, never.
I remember
David,
that.
like most people in Union, believed Susan Smith's story.
Yes, Tanya.
By the next morning, word of the kidnapping had spread rapidly. Many residents would dedicate countless hours to a 9-day search for Michael and Alex Smith. A search that would end not in the safe return of the boys, but in the exposure of a lie that would shock the nation.
On the surface, there was little reason to doubt Susan Smith's story. By all accounts, she was a dutiful and loving mother. In high school, she had been a member of the National Honor Society and was voted friendliest girl by her classmates. But as the search began for the 2 little boys, the image of their tearful mother pleading for their safe return turned into a sickening lie. Police would later learn that 5 days before the disappearance of her boys, Smith had said to a friend, "I wonder what life would be like if I didn't have kids."
From the moment Susan Smith reported her children missing, a nationwide search began for her car. In South Carolina, officials led by State Police Chief Robert Stewart began a parallel investigation, as is commonplace, in cases of child abduction. They questioned both Susan and David Smith, while following up on other leads about the supposed black carjacker. One of the problems complicating the search was that the description Susan Smith had provided for the composite drawing of the carjacker was so generic, it raised suspicion.
Of course, it had to be acted on because you have children's lives at stake. But over a period of a couple of days, we had some real concerns with that and with the concerns if it was false that it would cause in the community. And we tried to be very careful how we acted on that in conducting interviews of subjects based on her description.
A reporter with WIS-TV in Columbia, South Carolina, Heather Hoops, drove to Union to cover the story.
Discussion started right away about that composite and how vague it was and how it described half the people in Columbia and should we use it and what should be done. And eventually we pulled it off the air.
But the search for the carjacker and the little boys went on, and the residents did their part. They assisted police by printing thousands of missing posters, distributing photos, tying yellow ribbons around mailboxes and telephone poles, and scouting wooded areas on horseback. Local and national media descended on Union and beamed the story around the world. Before long, Susan appeared with her husband David to make a tearful plea for the return of their children.
I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't do anything but think about them. I just want to hug them so bad and tell them I love them.
Where's the tears?
But doubts about Smith's sincerity grew rapidly. On the second day of the search, she took a lie detector test and failed. In an attempt to get a quick confession, police confronted Smith and accused her of being involved in the disappearance of Michael and Alex.
She immediately became belligerent, cursed the agent, and that was the end of it. So we knew she was the kind of person that we would have to very easily work into a confession. You couldn't intimidate her into it.
Nor could the authorities call off the search. Sheriff Wells, the FBI, and police kept on checking the hundreds of leads that came in every day. Susan and David Smith stayed with their families at the home of Susan's mother and stepfather, Linda and...
Can you imagine, like, that man, you know, that much of a search and everything for your children, and you're sitting there knowing where they are, where you can find them, what happened to them.
Beverly Russell, waiting anxiously for news.
It was very long days, waiting out at the Russells, watching people come in, watching people go. You're like on a roller coaster, up and down, because there's so much hearsay.
On the third day of the search, there seemed to be a breakthrough. A car matching the description of Susan's Mazda was spotted in North Carolina. But it was not her car. In vain, divers searched the waters of John D. Long Lake from the shoreline to 100 feet out. And the FBI searched Susan's house, but came up with nothing. After almost a week of silence, Susan and David Smith appeared before the television cameras once again.
I want to say to my babies that your mama loves you so much. And your daddy, this whole family's love you so much. And you guys have got to be strong, because you are, I just know, I just feel in my heart that you're okay. But you got to take care of each other. And your mom and daddy are going to be right here waiting on you when you get home.
As the daily interrogations of Susan proceeded, police discovered inconsistencies in her story.
I want to know if and when the father finally stopped supporting her, because I remember being shocked that he was continuing to support her through it.
The greeters at Walmart didn't remember seeing her on the night of October 25th. The friend Susan claimed she was going to visit wasn't even home that evening. And there were more.
She said there were no other cars in the intersection, no possible witnesses there, when in fact that light will only turn red for the direction she was traveling if there was cross traffic.
On day 8, Smith changed her written statement when police confronted her with new reasons why her version of the supposed abduction didn't add up.
It was like an elaborate chess match. She'd make a move, we'd make a move, until it finally got resolved.
The national media was now increasingly skeptical.
I would do live shots for stations around the country, and they were asking the question, well, hey, do they think the mom did it? It was a question that was on a lot of people's minds. Susan said things like, I loved them, I really did. Well, that's past tense. I mean, are they dead? Do you know something we don't?
On the 9th day of the search, Susan and David appeared on all 3 national network morning news programs, declaring their innocence and pleading for the return of Michael and Alex.
My first reaction is it hurts to know that that I would be accused or even thought that I would ever do anything to harm my children.
as a mother, it's only a natural instinct to protect your children from any harm. And the hardest part of this whole ordeal is not knowing if your children are getting what they need to survive. And it hurts real bad.
Later that morning, Susan met with police behind a local church at a recreation center. Smith, worn down.
How can, like, the crying and like, there's no tears. How can it, I mean, like, okay, we know she's,
day after day of intensive interrogations and relentless media scrutiny, finally broke down. It was in this small windowless room at about 2 p.m. on Thursday, November 3rd, that a tearful Susan Smith begged Sheriff Wells for his gun. She told Wells her children were not all right and fell to the floor sobbing. She said that the car and the children were at the bottom of John D. Long Lake. Divers found the car 122 feet from the shore, upside down, under 18 feet of water. Through the murky darkness, the beam of a diver's flashlight illuminated a small hand pressed against the window. As the car was pulled from the water, the bodies of Michael and Alex were visible through the side windows. Back at the church, Susan Smith was allowed to prepare an unusual confession.
They wanted to get something in writing, but they didn't want to get into a situation with a confrontation to the point where they could get nothing in writing. So that's why she was allowed to, at that point, just write out her account of what happened.
In her written confession, Susan Smith claimed that she was suicidal on the evening of October 25th, that she was living in what she called a vale of tears. Not wanting her children to live without a mother, Smith said she was planning to kill herself and...
Oh my gosh, it does. It does, Gabrielle, you're so right. Yeah, Aggie, I did a rebranding like about a month ago.
Take her children with her. After driving around Union for over an hour, she pulled into the access road at John D. Long Lake. She let her car roll down the boat ramp, but soon stopped it by pulling up the emergency brake. Later, she got out of the car, released the brake, and let it roll down the ramp into the water. That evening, Sheriff Wells made the shocking announcement.
Susan Smith has been arrested and will be charged with 2 counts of murder in connection with the deaths of her children, Michael 3 and Alexander 14 months.
I was heartbroken. It was a sickening feeling that I've never experienced in my life before. I felt empty. I felt hollow. I felt betrayed.
Later that night, as the car was removed from the lake,
and she thought about
the
it.
body...
That's, you know, even more sick. Like, she had a chance to stop it and, you know, not do it.
Of her 2 children remained in their car seats, grossly deformed from being underwater for 10 days.
South Carolina decided to pursue the death penalty against Susan Smith. Her defense attorney would say that execution made no sense, since Susan wanted to die. And the worst punishment she could face was having to live with what she had done. Back in a moment.
The nation was stunned by the deaths of Michael and Alex Smith. Even more shocking was that the confessed murderer was also their mother. Crime statistics indicate that more than 1,000 children in the U.S. are killed each year by their parents.
Oh my gosh.
Smith. Even more shocking was that the confessed murderer was also their mother. Crime statistics indicate that more than 1,000 children in the U.S. are killed each year by their parents.
God. Good morning, Grateful Life.
Susan.
More than 1,000 children per year, and this is an old video, so I'm sure. So this is 6 years ago. This was posted, but the video itself is way, way older. But 1,000 children a year by the hands of their own parents.
Smith, having waived her right to a bond hearing, sat in jail as thousands of people streamed into the funeral home for the closed casket visitation of her two little boys.
Right, Gabrielle.
On Sunday, November 6th, 1994, Michael and Alex were buried, their two small bodies placed in the same casket.
It was heart-wrenching. I mean, that was a tough one. I mean, I don't think there was a dry eye. It was 7 miles from the church to the funeral, and by the time we got to the burial site, the cars were still coming out of the church. It was the hardest thing I ever had to go through.
With the arrest of Susan Smith, the town of Union began to mourn as quickly as it had rallied to Susan's side. The yellow ribbons that had been tied to trees and lampposts were replaced with blue and white ones as a remembrance of the boys. The boat ramp at John D. Long Lake was transformed into a shrine for Michael and Alex. Overnight, the love for Susan Smith turned to hatred.
You need to cry! Bella, like, I can't even imagine having those thoughts about anybody else's kids, let alone your own kids. Like, oh my goodness. And I always struggle with the like the insanity defense and stuff too, because in my eyes, you have to be like, there's got to be something wrong with you if you can do those things. That's how I feel. Like, I would think every single, person that has murmured before has to have something mentally wrong with them to be able to do that.
They were ready to lynch her. I think the whole country was. They didn't have any answers for what she did. They couldn't understand how she would do something like this to their family member, and they wanted her hide.
Many in the town of Union felt betrayed by Susan Smith, especially members of the African American community, since Smith had chosen to falsely blame a black man for the crime. On December 12th, Susan was indicted on 2 charges of murder. On January 16th, the Union County Solicitor, Tommy Pope, who would prosecute the Smith case, announced his decision to seek the death penalty.
The state of South Carolina hereby serves you with notice that the state intends to seek the death penalty in the above captioned case, State versus Susan Smith, indictment for murder, alleged that Susan Smith did in Union County on or about October 25th, 1994.
Absolutely, Glam. Like, it can last years.
Willfully, and with malice.
Mention it probably can, pull out any, like, if you have like depression and things like that kind of underlying, it can kind of trigger that, and then that could be something that you have to struggle with forever.
Forethought, kill one Alexander Tyler Smith by means of drowning, and said victim died as a result thereof. State of South Carolina versus Susan Smith, indictment for murder. That indictment is alleged that Susan Smith did in Union County on or about October 25th, 1994, feloniously, willfully, and with malice and forethought, kill one Michael Daniel Smith by means of drowning. Said victim died as a result thereof.
Smith was appointed a public defender named Judy Clark. Susan's mother and stepfather mortgaged their house to hire a second defense attorney with experience in death penalty cases, David Bruck.
The death penalty is, for her, beside the point. She says over and over again that she wishes she could just die so that she wouldn't have to hurt anymore.
Judge William Howard, who would preside over the case, set the ground rules in a number of pretrial hearings. He started by imposing a gag order on everyone involved in the case and ruling that cameras would be banned from the courtroom.
Yeah, but I'm so thankful, Bella, that you had somebody, with you that did something, and took those warning signs seriously.
At the same time, the Simpson case was being tried and had started several months earlier, so we had the benefit of seeing what was going on out there. I felt every time I came into the courtroom that the level of anxiety that I saw was greater than I had seen before, and that it was affecting the way people were addressing the issues.
Well, I think that a lot of that is because this was the first big story about, a parent taking the life of a child that we were able to get this kind of coverage on and actually see and kind of be brought into, brought into the family, so to speak. So I think that's why there was such a big, huge reaction to it, because we had never seen this. They didn't cover this stuff before.
The time that was involved.
The media coverage had been so intense, many believed it would be impossible to find a fair and impartial jury in Union. Under the law, defense attorney David Bruck could have requested a change of venue, but he decided that a local jury would most likely work to Smith's favor.
The prosecution's image of her was of a non-human, a Beelzebub-like character, of just unimaginable coldness and evil. And I thought it would be easier to sell that to a jury of strangers somewhere across the state than to a jury in Union County, because they would be asked to believe that this diabolical figure had grown up in their midst for 23 years and no one had noticed.
Jury selection began on Monday, July 10th.
Yeah, but
By
usually
Saturday,
people like this, serial killers and everything else, you always, you talk to their neighbors, to their friends, and you never would have, they always say, you never would have guessed. They were very quiet. They were, this, they were that.
9 men and 3 women had been chosen. 4 jurors were black and 8 white. Judge Howard sequestered them in a nearby hotel. He had set the stage for speedy and efficient justice. In comparison to the O.J. Simpson criminal trial, which took 9 months to reach a verdict, the fate of Susan Smith would be known in only 17 days.
With the guilty verdict all but inevitable, the real question in the courtroom was whether Susan Smith would face the death penalty. Next, the defense, with a clever move, takes control of the trial.
The trial of Susan Smith began on July 17, 1995. It might have been a simple one, but the prosecution made what some believe was a major blunder. They decided to try and show why the defendant killed her 2 sons, even though the law did not require that they prove a motive, and they could have won without doing so. Each day, the Union courthouse was packed. Many more waited outside for a chance to get inside.
Not much of a mother. Whatever they do to her can't be enough. Anybody that could drown her babies, any mother could drown her babies, they've nothing to her.
Those who did get inside wouldn't hear Susan Smith speak. State psychiatrists had testified that although Smith was competent to stand trial, she was suicidal and might sabotage her own defense. Under South Carolina law, death penalty trials are divided into 2 parts. The first determines guilt or innocence. The second decides the punishment. The guilt phase of the Smith trial was essentially an open and shut case for the prosecution. In a written confession, Smith had admitted she had let her car roll into the lake with her children strapped in the back seat. There was little chance that Susan Smith would be found anything but guilty.
We didn't feel that there was any defense to the murder charge at all. So the best thing and the worst thing were the same thing, as we felt like there was...
Sorry, a trigger warning before I even say it. Something that I watched about her was saying that she could hear cries for help. Now, I don't know if that was true or what. I can't even remember what channel it was on. But even if you didn't hear them, I feel like, but see, that's me. And as a mom, I would never, ever even think of something like that. But I would feel like that would be something you would always, always, always hear. Even if you didn't actually hear it. You know what I'm saying? What she did. Ugh. And that's another thing. Like,
it was going to be a murder
the
conviction.
fact that well, we don't know, I guess, but I'm not giving her any benefits of the doubt. The fact that she isn't haunted by it.
The fact that within minutes of this crime, she was telling a lie about what had happened to her children made it quite clear that she knew that it was wrong to have killed her children, and that, or at least that she would get in trouble for it. And that's the end of any insanity defense.
But the state wasn't taking any chances.
Could you imagine? Like, that's what I'm saying. There were so many times she could have changed her mind, and she didn't. She kept on with it.
The defendant had extremely capable attorneys. They would test and they would push against our case. And if they met with resistance, they'd say, well, we're not contesting that. But if it was soft, I can guarantee you they would continue to push right through it. And so part of our job that a lot of people never realized was making sure that every I was dotted and every T was crossed on each and every step.
As part of their thorough approach, prosecutors began the case with a motive. They argued that Susan Smith murdered her children in order to win back her wealthy boyfriend, Tom Finley, who was known throughout Union as the most eligible bachelor, lived in his family's mansion, worked for his father's company, and was Susan Smith's ticket to the good life. Much of the prosecution's case revolved around a letter that Finley had sent to Smith a week before the murders. In the letter, he outlined the reasons why he was ending their brief relationship. One of them was her children. Finley wrote, "There are some things about you that aren't suited for me. And yes, I am speaking about your children. I'm sure your kids are good kids, but it really wouldn't matter how good they may be. The fact is, I just don't want children."
When you've got a letter that says, you know, we could be together, but I'm not ready to have kids, I mean, you know,
Morning, Hannibal.
It's pretty clear cut as I see it.
Under South Carolina law, the prosecution did not need to prove a motive to win a conviction in the murder case. They only had to prove it was premeditated by a mere second. Smith had conceded that in her own confession when she wrote, "I did go part way down the ramp, but I stopped. I went again and stopped. Then I got out of the car. I dropped to the lowest when I allowed my children to go down that ramp into the water without me."
Really, the state was going to get a murder conviction just for showing up. She had confessed to capital murder. We knew that the confession was not going to be thrown out. However, the state made the decision to try to prove motive at the guilt phase. We expected them to do it. We thought it was a mistake, but we thought it was a mistake they were going to make, and they did.
A mistake, according to Bruck, because it opened the door for the defense to present its own counter-argument about Smith's motive. That she was not a cold, evil killer, but a loving, immature, and troubled mother who could not cope with life. That the deaths of Michael and Alex were actually a result of Smith's botched attempt to commit suicide.
Please. You were never, ever going to do anything to yourself.
An argument for which there was some evidence in Susan's past, according to the spokesman for the hospital, that evaluated Smith's mental fitness to stand trial.
Susan had been suicidal in high school to the point that she was briefly hospitalized in a psychiatric unit. Her father had committed suicide, and we know that individuals whose parent commits suicide, they're higher risk for suicide. These facts were brought out in the trial. Also, she had depression. It's plausible that she was very depressed that evening. She had been trying to get Tom's attention. He had been turning her off. This was very important to her.
Now that the door had been opened by the state, the defense walked right through it, presenting evidence of depression and alcoholism in Susan's family tree. The impact of her father's suicide.
I don't care what her past was or whatever. I mean, at a certain point, you're an adult. You're responsible for your own choices and your own decisions.
When Susan was only 6 years old. And most shocking, the admission of sexual abuse by Susan's stepfather, Beverly Russell, head of Union County's Christian Coalition and chairman of its Republican Party. His abuse had begun when Susan was 15. The most recent incident was 3 months before the drowning of Michael and Alex.
We had the opportunity to show that on the available evidence, suicide was a much more likely motivating factor than a premeditated, cold, deliberate substitution of her children in favor of this remote chance of snaring a rich boyfriend.
So it brought out sort of the good with the bad. It toned it down and made it into a much more complex emotional case right from the start, instead of allowing the state to portray it in a very stark, evil way and then have the defense try to reconstruct it in a different setting. The defense took control of the case with the state's first witness and never let go of it from that point on.
Because the defense was arguing that Susan's abusive past made her suicidal, but did not make her mentally ill, the prosecution was not allowed to have its own psychiatrists examine her.
That's one thing that makes those abuse defenses extremely difficult, at least under the structure of our law in South Carolina. It's the lack of an opportunity for the state. You know, you're basically using the defense of something unusual in the defendant's mind, but then you don't give us a chance to peer into their mind. It's almost like you putting up a witness and getting to get direct examination, but not allowing me to cross-examine them.
The defense psychiatrist did say Susan intended to kill herself and, quote, take her children with her, a point which the prosecutors really jumped on.
And she chickened out, so that was the story. She meant to be in the car, but she chickened out.
Saying, well,
yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. Regardless, you're guilty, you know.
She didn't commit suicide, and you can't suicide a child. Now, it's plausible that someone could decide to commit suicide and take their children with them. This has occurred in other instances. However, her method here of committing, quote, suicide is very unusual. There are so many opportunities to get out. Now, her kids are strapped into the car seats. I mean, whatever's going to happen is going to certainly happen for them unless she rescues them.
The defense psychiatrist conceded something else about Susan Smith that for some members of the jury proved her guilt beyond any doubt.
His testimony led me to believe, yes, she is guilty. He said that she understood right from wrong. The way she made decisions was not rational, but she understood that it was wrong what she did. So she should be held accountable for what she did.
After a week of testimony, it took the...
understood, but she had numerous chances to stop it.
Jury only 2.5 hours to come back with a verdict. Guilty of 2 counts of murder. A verdict that didn't surprise anyone. But the defense had won a victory as well. It had presented evidence about Smith that might sway the jury against the punishment the prosecution was so eager to achieve: the death penalty.
To that end, the state would produce an unusual videotape that showed just how Susan Smith had drowned her 2 sons. The prosecutors wanted to prove to the jury that Smith had almost 6 minutes in which she still could have saved them. Back in a moment.
You tell us at aetv.com.
That's the thing that gets me, is all the times she could have stopped it. If she was able to still through that 6 minutes, which seems like, nothing, 6 minutes, but when you're standing there watching something like that and doing something like that, I'm sure that 6 minutes felt like an eternity. You had all that time and you did nothing.
On July 24th, the penalty phase of the Susan Smith trial began, with graphic and emotional testimony from both sides. The prosecution, in its bid for the death penalty, would visually recreate the deaths of Michael and Alex Smith. And the defense, in an effort to keep Susan Smith off death row, would use her friends and family to explore the most painful events of her life. The defense also had another argument against executing Smith.
I think it was clear that that life would be a more severe punishment for her because she loved those children. It sounds strange to say, but she did. And the full horror of what she had done weighed on her more heavily than on anybody else. And it was obvious that was a mistake.
I do feel like she, like let her suffer a little bit, but so I mean, I'm kind of glad that, they gave her jail time instead of death, but she's going to continue to suffer when she gets out. Like who just said, she better not even think about staying in South Carolina. She better go somewhere else because people have it out for her. This is going to follow her everywhere, and it should.
Stay with her for the rest of her life. The longer her life, the more she was going to hurt. And so the idea of the death penalty as retribution didn't really ring true for Susan.
But the prosecution was about to present a very compelling piece of evidence, hoping to sway the jury in its favor. In the months before the trial, Tommy Pope had prepared a video showing what would happen if a car like Susan's was allowed to roll down the boat ramp and sink in John D. Long Lake. The recreation was videotaped from the shore, while another camera was mounted in the car, roughly where Michael and Alex were sitting.
You got in your mind, well, it'll occur this way, or a car will drop like a rock, or it'll float forever, all the different things. And ultimately, the byproduct of the testing, in addition to telling us some things about flotation characteristics, it gave us an internal view of how that car filled up with water. It basically gave us a view of what Michael and Alex would have been facing as the means of their death.
The defense objected to the video and requested that Judge Howard not let the jury see it. They claimed that the daylight and the divers floating in the water next to the car gave a false sense of rescue that Susan Smith, alone in the dark, would not have had. But the judge allowed it.
In the overall sense, what you're evaluating is relevance, whether or not something is relevant. When I looked at it, what was apparent was that within the car, the water coming up was much more slowly rising than it appeared from the exterior of the vehicle. Again, relevant now on the issue of just what could have been done to save the children and how long was the time frame in which something could have been done. And so it was at that point that I thought it really was relevant in that sentencing setting.
The jury sat and watched as it took the water almost 6 minutes to reach the level of the car's interior camera.
That was kind of emotional for me. I didn't realize it would take a car that long to sink. Was it 5 minutes, 52 seconds, something like that? And they took all the sound away. What made it even more eerie, they took all the sound away in the courtroom. You just sitting there watching that car float out in the water. It was really emotional.
David and I watched the reenactment. It was not shown to the court. We could sit and we watched it in the reflection of the windows because they had the blinds were drawn behind the jury, and we could sit there and watch it. It was very hard.
You guys imagine having to watch that? That's their grandfather having to watch, and if it went down the way that the one that they recreated it to do, like the kids got it took a while for those kids, for the water to reach them. The whole front of the car goes in first, slowly, before it hits that back seat. Oh.
It was heart-wrenching to watch that car just bob, and the front drop down and watch the car, because we just knew, you could visualize Michael and Alex sitting there upside down, strapped in, nothing they could do.
Perhaps equally hard to watch was the testimony of the boy's father, David Smith, who described the monumental loss he had suffered when his children were murdered by his estranged wife.
Basically what we did was bring Michael and Alex back to life through David's testimony, with him telling about taking to the park and all the things that he'd done, and then having him relive their death. That's the first time in my career I'd ever broken down after testimony, and I talked to him and basically apologized to him for doing what we just had to do.
David's testimony had the courtroom in tears. Even Susan Smith, who throughout the trial had avoided all contact with her husband, whispered her apologies as she left.
She walked by and said, "I'm sorry." David just said it just infuriated him inside. He was emotionally drained at that point, but it just infuriated him.
Little words could.
She isn't sorry. I don't think she's sorry to this day.
The defense, hoping to counter the prosecution's emotional testimony, called friends, family, and social workers to testify on Susan's behalf. Her stepfather, Beverly Russell, took the stand, assuming responsibility for his sexual abuse of Smith and taking part of the blame for her actions.
The victim impact, so-called, ended up being much more in Susan's favor, because while David testified about his love for the children, so did everybody on Susan's side who were testifying for her. And it became clear that a death sentence was only going to increase the misery of the people who loved Michael and Alex Smith.
The jury agreed. On July 28th, after only 2.5 hours of deliberation, they unanimously voted to sentence Susan Smith to life in prison.
It was either death or life or innocent. So, she obviously was not innocent. And I'd already made my mind up that based on the whole case, the death penalty wasn't warranted. So that was the only choice left. I couldn't think it was all her fault. I mean, it was, when it come right down to it, she was the one that she the one that committed murder, but several things leading up to that she could have been helped before all this came about. The people that were closest to her probably could have helped her before then if they had chosen to, but they didn't. And so she was left to keep going in the wrong direction with no help.
Susan Smith was remanded to the Women's Correctional Center in Columbia, South Carolina. Under state law, she is eligible for parole after serving 30 years. For the defense team, it was a victory that spared Susan Smith's life. For the father of the victims, nothing short of death would have been justice.
Well, first of all, me and my family, of course, are disappointed that the death penalty wasn't the verdict, but the jury, again, we respect that they took the testimony among themselves and they came back with the verdict of life, and so they returned the verdict they thought was justice. Of course, like I said, we are disappointed, but it wasn't our choice.
As much as it didn't feel like, fully they got justice then, can imagine how that family feels now with her parole nearing.
And what penalty she was to receive.
American justice had rendered its verdict. But it's not the business of the law to answer the far tougher question of why a mother would murder her own children.
I can't say that any theory of why this horrible thing happened makes sense, because murdering your own children like that in love does not make sense. And we really left just looking at what explanation was, made more sense than any other, or was less crazy than any other. Her confession said that she was trying to kill herself and to take the children with her in her disordered thinking, so they'd be in heaven and they'd be happy.
No. I don't buy that, because if that was the case, then when she got out of the car, it all would have been done and over with. She would have got back in the car, backed up, left, gone along her merry way. But if she was trying to do herself in, then then when she decided not to do it, everything would have been okay. The kids would still be here. But no, you stood off and then you pushed it.
Leave this veil of tears, and that's the way people who are acutely depressed sometimes think in a suicidal moment.
She made a conscious decision to stop, to get out, and to still make the car go on in the lake with two kids in the back. You know what I mean? It wasn't these random, I have to somehow save myself. You can armchair quarterback it to death now, but I really think that, again, I give the defense credit, but I don't buy it.
She deliberately, premeditatedly murdered Michael and Alex, slammed the door on them and let them roll. And I feel today that even to this day that justice was not done. The jury, they knew they were going to have to live that time and have to run into Linda Russell, run into somebody in that family, have them put her on death row. They were a county of cowards. There was no justice done in Union County for Michael and Alex.
Years after Susan Smith drowned her sons at John D. Long Lake, there was another tragedy at the exact same spot. In September 1996, a group of 10 people, including 6 children, drove to the shore of the lake in a van. They were there to see the memorials to the 2 Smith boys. They stopped. Some got out. Suddenly, the van, which had transmission problems, rolled down the very same slope into the lake. 7 people, including 4 of the children, were drowned. The bodies were recovered by the same divers who found Michael and Alex Smith. The deaths were ruled accidental. I'm Bill Curtis. Join me next time for another episode of American Justice.
Wow. That end blew my mind. Ugh. And if that would have happened, I wonder, if that would have happened in time or whatever, then I don't know why I just shut that out. Then they would have probably been using that, in their defense, that my mind is blown. Okay. I'm going to see if we can see if maybe there's a Foxy video or something to lighten us up. I wonder if Cheyenne is okay. I got to check that too, because she hadn't made one for a couple months the last we checked. Looks like we watched this one already. The doxing game. All right, let's see Cheyenne. Oh, she does have one. 2 days ago. Yay. All right, let me get her link.
Do y'all ever just toxic gossip train? Toxic gossip train. 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 I just love coming to the Walmart. It may not be Trader Joe's or anything fancy, but it has everything you can.
She does her so good.
I mean, gee, it even has its own dedicated Barbie aisle. And I don't know about you, but I sure am getting Barbie fever. That is correct. Step away, Rugrats. Move along. All real monsters. Time for Barbie. Toxic gossip train. Come on, Barbie. Let's go party. Toxic gossip train. Come on, Barbie. Let's go. Oh, hi, y'all. Becky, y'all. Oh. Gee. Hey, Amberlynn.
That's Becky.
How are you doing? You better not be planning on exposing me, y'all. No. I would never do such a thing. Good. Good. 'Cause, if you do, then, I'm calling the police. I'm calling the police. Anyway, I have to get back to my shopping, so I guess I will see you another time. Bye. Okay then, bye. Toxic gossip train. Hey guys. It's me. Destiny. But you already knew that. I'm here today with Baxter. Hey guys. And YP. And we're gonna spill some tea on Amberlynn. I know you're watching, Amber. Hey, Baxter. Why aren't you wearing your dorky Rugrats shirt? I have decided to wear my Black Sabbath t-shirt because they are a very cool band, and I just kind of feel kind of feisty today, you know? Rugrats is my good side. Black Sabbath is my feisty side. So, yeah, that is the reason why. So, watch out, Amberlynn. Yeah, that's right. Show her who's boss. So, I thought it would be kind of cool to talk about the shit that Amberlynn would make us all do. I count my lucky stars every day that I never had to wipe her ass. Fuck that shit, man. Well, Destiny, and no offense to you, Wipey, because you are a very attractive girl. I believe that Amberlynn found you the most attractive, Destiny. So I just think that maybe she would be too.
See, I wasn't around for the Destiny arc.
And she probably wanted you to be sexually attracted to her. and the image of wiping her behind is not sexually attractive. I hate to say this, but the difference between thing I have ever heard her do to one of her girlfriends. Ooh. So, Baxter, got anything juicy you want to share with our friends?
Oh my gosh. Does she really laugh like that? That would drive me
Come on,
nuts.
Baxter. I didn't bring you on my channel for nothing, man. Give the people what they want. Spill that tea, man. I know there's a lot. Gee, well, there is that one time where I asked her which Rugrat she identified with the most. I personally identify with Tommy Pickles and Chucky the most. And she said something that I will never forget. She said that Rugrats is for babies. Is that it? I mean, how awful. Come on, Baxter. Fucking Rugrats, man. Sick of that shit. There's just like gotta be something juicier, man. I really want to spill the tea, and I am in a feisty mood. But she said that she would contact the authorities if I spilled the tea. Oh, come on. What a load of bull. Hey, Binge Monster. I know you're watching. And you and I know there's nothing you can do. So stop threatening Baxter, man. Stop it, man. Well, the one and only time that we had relations, she made me wear a blonde wig so that she could pretend that I was you, Destiny. Is that so? Holy shit! She also threatened to break my Real Monsters mop. Can you believe it? You guys think Becky is like such a saint, but like literally she's like literally Satan.
Yeah, I don't think so, Lilith, either. I've only seen Destiny on her channel, like
a
Destiny's
big deal
channel.
out of it, you know what I mean? She literally made me feel ashamed about everything. Literally, who's gonna want me now? Who's gonna want me now? Literally, who's gonna want me now? I'm gonna have to like twerk on a towel or something. Yeah, maybe I can call Eric. Maybe he can want me. Yes. Oh my god, Eric! What's up, bitch? Do you like want to come over and watch Drag Race All Stars?
Oh my god, yes, slay. Oh my god, I'll be right there. I love Drag Race so much.
Oh my god!
Yes, I'll be there, queen. Yes, queen. Oh my god, oh my god.
Now.
Oh my god, yes, I'll be there. Can't wait, queen. Can't wait, queen. I'll be leaving.
Yes, queen.
I'll leave right now.
Bye.
Later that day.
Hey, Amberlynn, I'm here.
Oh my god, Eric.
Yes, queen.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, you know. I'm just like living every day of my life slaying, you know what I mean? Like, yes, queen. Yes to the queen. Yes. Vogue.
What is taking him so long? He promised me that it'll be a flying visit. It's been damn near 30 minutes.
You look like really hot today.
Oh my god, thanks so much. Yes, queen. I've been working out.
Oh my god, Eric, what is that on your shirt? Huh? What, this? Come here. Let me get that for you. That's it. Come closer. Come closer.
Okay, I'm just gonna go in there myself. How about that?
Oh my god.
Amberlynn, get off me.
What in the sandhill is going on.
Oh my God, Ricky, it's not what it looks like.
I know y'all think that I'm gonna come over there and try and beat your ass. But guess what? I'm a classy girl. I'm gonna go home. Process this. Try to make sense of this ridiculous situation.
Stay out of this, Ricky. Eric loves me, top deal.
Oh my God, I'm not in love with Amber Lynn. Ew. Ricky, you gotta understand, I do not like Amber Lynn. I do not want anything to do with her. I was just trying to be a good person, and then she made the move first. She kissed me. I did not want anything to do with her.
Okay, hush up. Listen, I ain't stupid. I can see what's going on here. I know Eric don't want your ass. And you, Amberlynn, are a stupid, stupid, stupid fool.
This isn't one of her best ones, Jarella, for sure.
You got the opposite of the Midas touch. Everything you touch turns to shit. You are just gonna have to find another poor sap to wipe your behind.
Oh my gosh.
I sure ain't doing it, and neither is my man. So goodbye.
Oh. Oh. Oh my God.
Brought to you by my Patreon. All right, let me put that in the chat. There is Cheyenne Jasmine's link if anybody doesn't subscribe to her already. I would love Ricky to make a channel where he... See, I don't even know them, Glam. I don't even know Ricky and Eric. I didn't watch her then. Amber current events. Well, geez, Destiny was doing really well with her live streams and stuff. She was getting good numbers, and I can't believe like Becky has like 80,000 or something. Anywho, guys, we are still planning on doing the puppets. Just everybody's been sick. Nick had her sick in her house, and then here, and now she has family visiting from out of town. So we will get to it because we all have the materials and everything. We just need to come up with a time that we can all. It all works for all of us. They were Becky's friends. Ricky used to say shady things periodically during her videos. Destiny had nothing to say about ALR. How about 2 weeks? In 2 weeks, Glam? That would push us into October. That would actually probably be good. We'll talk about it. And anybody is welcome to come up on panel or do it along in the chat, or just, join us while we're doing it in chat. Whatever you want. All right, I am going to take off for the day, guys. I have a bunch of errands I got to run now that I'm able to move. So I will see you guys next time. Thank you all for joining me this morning. I appreciate all of you. If you haven't hit that like button yet, please hit the like button. And if you're new here or watching on the replay and you're new, please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so that you're alerted anytime I post new content. Thank you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye.